rid of all that love we have in our hearts. Then he's gonna show us where we make him trapped. If we're indiscriminate about where we put it, it's just this way. At the Dim
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dim Carnival. It's a podcast about bad books. No, it's about the Insane Clown Posse. And us. It's mostly about us. And we happen to be listening to the Insane Clown Posse and their music. And we're taking a chronological journey through the wicked clowns. Wicked clowns.
That's a good callback.
Oeuvre. Yeah. We're nothing but callbacks here. Sometimes call forwards. But I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Ryan.
And we are, collectively, we are the Grease-E of podcasters.
Are we the capital E?
No. I wouldn't say we're that good. When we did this for Carnival of Carnage, you gave us some context on what other rap albums came out in 1991. But now here we are in 1994, a massive 3 years later. I want to know what other rap albums were out there when this album dropped.
So, I don't even know what to tell you here, Bill. 1994 was a good year for rap music. Just to like start with some really prolific albums that came out in 94. First one I want to say is Illmatic by Nas.
What?
Okay, also came out in 94, Notorious B.I.G., Ready to Die.
Wow.
Yeah, so Juicy.
So Biggie was dead at this point.
No. He still had like 6 more albums.
Ready to Die. Okay, sorry. No, I was thinking of Life After Death. Sorry.
Yeah, not Life After Death. No, Ready to Die. So like Juicy. J-Rita Damages, like I don't think it's his first. The Sun Rises in the East. That was the album that came out before the one that he got on MTV. There Is a Dark Side. So for you like Wu-Tang satellite folks from Redman. Everybody knows Regulate the G-Funk Era by Warren G. I'll give you a little bit of where the West Coast is at, but also the same year Tikal by Method Man came out. And then in the vein of horror rap, this is what's amazing. An album produced by Prince Paul and the RZA, Gravediggers, 6 Feet Deep, came out in 1994.
So there was other horrorcore in the mainstream when Ringmaster came out.
Yeah, man. And if anybody has not listened to Gravediggers, I don't know what's wrong with you. If you're interested in ICP, then you'll love it. Yeah, super amazing. But
and if you don't like ICP, you'll probably like it a lot better than ICP.
That's true. It's problematic and difficult, but amazing. But yeah, man, I could keep going. So Southern Playlist of Cadillac Music.
What?
Outkast came out in 94. Ill Communication by Beastie Boys. I'm just looking at a crazy list of albums.
Wow. So what you're saying is it was a landmark seminal year in hip hop.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, let's talk about the Ringmaster.
Oh, Functified by Da Brat. Can't forget that one.
No, never forget Da Brat.
Cool.
This week we were listening to the final segment of the Ringmaster. We're listening to the Loons, Love Song, Bugs on My Nugs, House of Mirrors, A Ringmaster's Word, tracks 12 through 16 of the Ringmaster. It's been quite a journey. As Ryan pointed out, doesn't end strong, but there are a few really good songs this week. So let's get right into it with Hey Ryan.
Yes, sir.
Your neck.
I can hear the crickets and the creatures of the night. You can hear me drag my foot and scrape my butcher knife. I can hear the owl as it chirps a wicked tune. You can hear the loons, the loons, the loons. Listen to the little pitter patter.
Yes. Probably the earliest like the earliest, my favorite thing of Instant Clown Posse, the Loons, is a song about a neck cutter who is a number of blocks away and getting closer all the time. But it opens with Violent J, said neck cutter, calling someone on the phone, and and he will only respond to her questions with neck cutter until she asks, "Who would you like to speak to?" And he says he pauses ever so slightly. That's what really makes it, because he's like neck cutter, neck cutter, neck cutter, and then who would you like to speak to? There's the tiniest pause. Your neck.
Yes, genius.
Yeah.
So the
So
Loons, definitely the best song this week, and maybe my favorite song on the album.
Oh, it's real close. It's real close.
I fucking love this song, and I love because it's a fun song. I like the music or whatever, but just the imagery of Violent J zipping and zooming around this neighborhood while he's trying to get to the person and hiding in all these spots is just, I just love picturing that while I'm listening. It's a rich thing to imagine. It's really fun.
It's another extremely strong concept, like the Dead One. And as you said last week, this is one where he's really dancing on the pedals, and he's like, he can see the shadows of the moon in his butcher knife. Like he's doing such a good job on this song, and he knows it. And I love the structure of the song, how it keeps breaking in to let you know that with the chorus that he's getting closer.
Yes.
But I also really love that the song is actually about the Loons that speak to the neck cutter and cause his actions through his psychosis, and it's not about the neck cutter himself, it's about the Loon.
Right. I remember hearing this song for the first time, and I knew that a loon was the name of a bird that made a scary sound. That's as much as I knew about it. And so then I think I had to go on what was that, the CD encyclopedia that what came with Windows. I think I pulled that up and looked up Loons on that, and they had the sound, and I was like, shit, yeah, it's terrifying ass bird sound.
Yeah, when you were looking it up, did Clippy pop up and be like, "It looks like you're thinking about Wicked Clowns."
Right.
Dinosaur DNA.
Yeah. 1995 was a really weird year.
It was great.
But this song, yeah, it's amazing, man. And it's got several of my favorite lines from the whole album. And the first happens pretty early on when he says, "Laughing in your castle, but I can't cross your moat. But then I get a boat. It cuts your fucking throat." So good.
That I totally was going to say that whole line too. I love that line.
So good.
I also like that they don't give the governor a chance to get off, like even when they're talking about a crazy guy. Stab you in the back of the head, why not? Your little governor has taken everything I got. I can't feed a family, I can't feed a dog, so I cut your fucking head off. Hey.
Also,
yeah.
If you're gonna just make a sound, why not make a sound that sounds like the rhyme? Why?
Right.
That's dumb. I also
Like
think
nothing rhymes with dog.
Right. Yeah, you can't just go "aw," you know?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so. I did think that
the Home Improvement theme would probably be a pretty rad song to sample for a rap song.
I'm not gonna argue with.
Go on.
I feel like it's a bold choice to have the chorus repeat it each time though, because I feel like once through is plenty, because they're saying it 3 times each, and then he repeats it again. This is a long time to spend on the chorus. And what I bring that up because I feel like as a band and at whatever, as they're creating their sound, it's getting a lot more tight. Like they still are doing the kind of like, let's do the chorus for the outro for a minute or whatever. But I do feel like they're really getting tight together, and I feel like this is one piece of a misstep from this being a perfect song.
Yeah. Well, also it has one real bad line in it too.
Only one?
Well, one that really stands out is that somebody's clock is running out of talk.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah, but it's great otherwise. Steve, tell me about Neck Cutter.
Well, back in 1972, I got nothing. I've enjoyed this song for many years. This was one of the fun songs I would listen to and like sit on top of the roof and look at the city, and it went really well together. So this song always just like elicits good times for me, and it again, I didn't really pay attention to the lyrics too much when I'd listen to it, and so now reading the lyrics this time, doing the podcast, I didn't realize how many genius lines there were that were in it, and then some bad ones, but I just nothing. It's another not Violent J kind of a thing. I mean, or you maybe actually you could probably argue back and forth that it is, because these people are being killed again because of the world that they've created. But this is another song that was an example of several podcasts back where we're talking about he's making it sound like these people are extremely rich when he's really just what seems to be a regular neighborhood to me. But yeah, no, it's a good song.
Yeah, again, unreliable narrator, because he specifically says throughout the song that he is Violent J. But you're saying maybe this is not necessarily the Dark Carnival Insane Clown Violent J?
I guess because it had more of a stalker feel to me than the like the Wicked Clowns seem to like kind of just like come out in your face and they're not hiding. Right. Where this one he's kind of like stalking and even terrorizing this lady. He keeps calling her and so that doesn't feel like the Dark Carnival to me as much as it feels like a serial killer in a song.
So
I like the idea of like Violent J being capable of like a lot of different things, and like the explanation of like him hearing the Loons and that like driving him to be like this aspect of Violent J is an interesting thought.
Well, so I think so. Then what's interesting to me from what Steve was just talking about is that at the end the song is like winding down and then it's Violent J and he's singing it to himself. I assume Violent J, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna kill it, I'm the Neck Cutter, and then maybe it's somebody who's listening to the record, and that person gets killed. That's probably what it is. Well, I was thinking it was him, and then he gets killed like by the redneck instead of killing them. And I thought that was more like what the argument that Bill had made back on Carnival of Carnage about how they're failures, like they suck, they're not cool. Here's a whole cool song, but at the end the hero gets killed by the villain, the redneck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is the Wicked Clowns never die. So,
or it could be that it's a kid listening to the record and he's thinking, I'm going to emulate you and do this thing and be cool like you are. And then he ends up just getting killed, the other person.
Yeah, but that also is a happy ending because you shouldn't pretend like you can do what they do.
Right.
And why do they do the things that they do? And who the fuck asked you?
You just did.
Oh, all right then.
So yeah, it's a scary song.
Mm-hmm.
He's running around being scary, but then at the end he decides he just wants to stop and have a beer, like everybody does, just right out on the front lawn.
I'd rather have a beer.
That's the tale of the world. A tale as old as time. Let's talk about what I think is the hardest song to listen to on the album. It is not bad. Is bad, and it's Love Song.
Smack Daddy Juggalo, and you're nothing but a 2-bit stankin' hoe. But I love you and I hope you realize that I don't care about the hair growing out your back. Smoking that blunt, drink some Mad Dog through the...
It's remnants of the weird old misogyny that permeated the first album. I feel like it's the only song on the album that's really kind of a tough listen. But that doesn't mean it doesn't still have a few funny lines in it. Like saying that he doesn't care if you look like a chicken with a hunchback.
Okay, so I mean, you said you said a nice
thing. Yeah, the craziest thing is that because after saying that nice thing about he doesn't care if the woman looks like a chicken with a hunchback. He says he's quick to hit a woman, and then very immediately says it's okay because he's Violent J. Like, it's that same old gross stuff. Like, the quick to hit a woman line is so jarring after listening to the first 12 songs on this album. Is just as a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say
He calls
that
himself a juggalo.
he does, a Mac Daddy.
Yeah.
I feel like
Southwest Mac Daddy Gigolo.
the beginning of this song is it feels pretty mean-spirited, I gotta say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's not too much more of that we have to deal with after we get out of this record. But I feel like later in the song, I feel like it starts to feel reciprocal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that, it's definitely wrong to, like, I feel the same distaste when he says that he's quick to hit a woman or whatever. I feel like that doesn't fit with the rest of the song. Because he just wants to get laid. And he's...
Right.
And he's telling somebody, he's like, I'm gross and you're gross. So
Yeah.
let's have sex because why not? No one else is going to fuck us. I don't care what, you have literal bugs crawling out of your orifices.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
But he just wants to get it in.
Yeah. It's rats and spiders. Yeah, like you're saying, like it gets, if that first verse were in there, it would be fine.
Right.
Almost. Like, also, I'm sure you guys love Shaggy singing the hook of the song. But, like, I mean, like, I wish I could listen to the song without the first verse because of, like, all I hear is my nuts flapping against your booty hole. Like, how is that not hilarious?
So when I was listening to this, my girlfriend laughed out loud at the line, all I want to do is fill your butt and squeeze your titties. That's it.
Yeah.
But
Steve, let's hear from you.
This is my favorite song on the album.
Oh. All right.
No, again, it was a song I never listened to, and I mean, I don't even think I heard this song until we did this. Yeah, I don't really ever remember listening to this song ever, and yeah, I just didn't like it. It was just a throwback to Carnival of Carnage of just mean. It just felt mean. I mean, it had funnier stuff in it, but I've never really been a big fan. After 6th grade, and I heard 2 Live Crew, like, after that, I never really cared about songs about sex too much, So it's just, like, there's so much good stuff on there. I just felt like this was cheap, I felt like the whole song was, like, beneath them, if you will. Like, I feel like they could do this song better, even still being lazy.
Well, they did do another one.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But my other highlight of this song is I smack your titty and it claps when it hits the other, but I don't want them clapping too loud. It'll wake her mother.
I just want to say, guys, that at the end, the very last line of this song is, because I love you.
Mm-hmm.
He's singing to the woman that he loves.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a stranger or whatever. This is his partner.
Yeah. Well, it's the woman that he wishes were his partner or wants to be his partner.
I don't know. I think
you don't think that he's saying that in the service of getting laid. You think that this is actually, in actuality, what we're listening to is a song he penned for his real life love, who looks like a chicken with a hunchback.
Yes, it's romantic.
Uh-huh.
I was thinking about you when I wrote this song.
You think she teared up a little bit?
I love you.
You think she teared up a little bit when she's like, it's true, there are rats and spiders up in there.
I mean, she can't argue that, she's got a stank ass that's going to take the wrinkles out of your nut hair.
The wrinkles out of your hair. Great. Nailed it. All right, so should we move on to the sister song of this song?
Right, we have to, they go together. Are they even
Bugs
two songs?
Bugs on my nugs.
Well, I don't understand the banana man. We fucking these hoes that look like spaghetti. Rich boy think that it's shitty, but I like fucking crackheads with one titty. And I do it at the drop of a dime, and I get the scabies almost every time. So let's talk about my nutsack. I don't front jack, I got bugs on my Bozak. Well, I'm Violent J, and I ain't no
is, I feel, a much better song. Better is subjective, but a much more fun song for sure. Easier to listen to. It is coupled with Love Song because what I love about this song is that it directly follows Love Song, and it's legitimately explaining the consequences of the actions that they delight in so much in Love Song.
No,
like,
Bill. It's even more metatextual than that. It's the reason he's doing it because he's under order. They are controlling him. It's not the. It's like a whole cycle.
Oh wow, yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah. But a very famous first line that we referenced way back with Sledgehammer is "Don't understand the phenomenon. Fucking these hoes that look like."
Yep. A strong start to the whole song from Shaggy 2 Dope. An amazing lyricist.
It's a real good back and forth between Shaggy and Violent J throughout this album, throughout this song. The descriptions of all of these various venereal parasites and how they try to combat them are arguably the cleverest that they are on the album.
Well, I was gonna say, Bill, the title "Bugs on My Nutz." So is this a track about maybe those people that cling on to your coattails? That those bugs that are always on your nuts.
It isn't.
No. No, it's about sexually transmitted diseases, or not diseases, but
critters,
bugs.
Perhaps
parasites. They're parasites. Is that what they are? Crabs.
What I would like to share with you both real quick before we keep talking about this song, because there's a lot of to talk about, I'm sure still, is from the synopsis of Bugs on My Nugs on Genius Lyrics. It reads as follows. Bugs on My Nugs, or Bugs on My Nutz, is the 14th track off The Ringmaster, the second studio album by horrorcore hip-hop duo Insane Clown Posse. The song is about Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope of ICP catching various STDs after having intercourse with various women who have STDs. That is italicized. They privileges us with vivid descriptions of how bugs make their genitals their home. Good synopsis.
Yeah.
Would read that book report. Because they do privileges us, guys.
They do. I do think you should. We do need to point out there is another reference to hitting a woman in this.
Ooh, yeah, that is true. Yes. Joe drops a Burke in the sock. Yeah, fair enough. I guess I'm just selective about what bothers me.
Well, yeah. It's kind of
less.
I'm gonna put you in your mouth.
Yeah, it's less. I feel like it's less overt and immediate. Like, I don't know. I mean, none of it is excusable, but it just comes across differently. I don't know.
However, whatever the last part of the song is, or it changes gears, I guess, like on the lyrics genius thing here, it's calling it the outro. I love that. That cracks me up. When I played this a few years back, I was just listening to it in the house, and I was like, hey, listen. I skipped the Bug on My Nuts part and got to that, and I had my roommate listen. I was like, listen to this. It's short. And he's not a fan, and he really liked that, just because the story's great, and he's just like, yeah, I totally know that guy. There's something a little reminiscent to me for it as well, because of that experience me and Tommy had after eating at Marie Callender's that time when those gangsters were gonna beat us up, and I went to elementary school with one of them, and then he didn't end up beating us up. So, I mean, it's different in that because I'm not tough and he would have killed me. But it's still just like the concept of, like, playing with kids in elementary school, and then they come back, years later in high school and are throwing gang signs, and they're going to fry my ass.
Yeah, that was interesting to me because that was kind of their whole thing to start, was that they were this gang. Maybe he's talking about himself. It
could be. Well, I just think he's just even if he did that, he's still pointing out how lame it was because that guy was a 5 Jello eating dork guy. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
maybe, well, I don't know. I guess he does see himself as a dork because he calls himself a nerd in songs, and he's definitely rejected.
Yeah, maybe he's talking
Maybe
about
it is himself.
Well, in this whole track about STDs, I gotta say that even though Shaggy is horrible with the rhyme on the very first line, his second verse, his flow's pretty solid.
Absolutely.
I mean, all things being said, Shaggy's got his moments, and I think he does pretty well in this song.
Yeah, I really like the back and forth that they do and the word play that they do in this track, and Jay's now they call you Funky Nuts because you like funky butt scratches and biting them. Now they call you Monkey Nuts, is very good.
Yeah, so that was a note that I wrote, that he's never afraid to try to do a new style. Violent J has a way of having a sound that's he has an aesthetic, right? It's not a sound. You can do tons of different voices if you want to do an impression of Violent J, but it always sounds like him. It's not, and that's pretty amazing to me. He's able to do that, and he's not scared to try to rhyme different ways. Because he really does care about this art medium. He cares about rap, even though he's bad at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's fearless, and that's admirable, and it's infectious.
Also infectious is the song that's sampled in here. Thank you, whosampled.com. It's from the 50s. I can't remember what year, but it's called Ringle Wrangle by a fella named Fess Parker. And it's only... just a clip of it is in it where he says, I got spurs on my boots and I don't give a hoot because I got me a pretty woman's love.
Yeah.
Which maybe is a song. I guess they're insinuating that song, when he says I've got spurs on my boots, he's got an STD, but he's okay with it because he's in love.
Right. You know who Fess Parker is, right?
I do not know who Fess Parker is.
He's Davy Crockett.
Okay.
Fess Parker is the actor who played Davy Crockett, and also recorded songs, and now owns a winery, or his estate has a winery in wine country.
Cool. Well, he's singing on this track.
This sure is. They got Davy Crockett to do a guest spot.
When I was listening to this song, preparing for this discussion, and I was reading the lyrics, it was great that as it's scrolling down to the bottom, and the chorus times 8.
Mm-hmm. My last note for this song is, could they have gotten a longer outro?
Nope. We did it well 8 times.
Because they argue for 3 minutes to end the song.
This is about the quality of the tracks that we got here.
Speaking of which, let's move on to House of Mirrors.
Step inside, come my way. This here is your fatal day. You have lied, they have cried. Now your life has been denied. Look into the big mirror. Your reflection is so clear.
House of... what was the name of the song?
House of Mirrors.
Because what I have written down is House of Mirrors.
Uh-huh. Yeah. House of Mirrors.
Because they're talking about MEERS, mirrors, in this song.
Mm-hmm. I have 2 notes about this song. The first is that this is the second time that we are inside an attraction at the Dark Carnival. Famous second. My second note, this song is definitely 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
Okay, so House of Mirrors is another funhouse place where they kill rich people, right? This whole song is about that other common thing that we talk about frequently of the killing the rich folk.
Mm-hmm.
So that is at this point not notable, but it does feature a guest artist.
It sure does. Capital E, who I definitely thought was Esham until I saw these lyrics.
I thought dude was just doing a Too Short impression, personally. That's what it sounded like to me. But then I felt like even the song's not that good, but I felt like Shaggy's verse was all right. I felt like he was doing okay on it.
For sure. He did fine.
When it starts, the mirror on the wall, he's talking about a bunch of cool horror movie imagery. If you break a mirror, it's 7 years bad luck, and a timeless clock says death is near. And he's talking about how he's gonna throw you in the magic mist in the hall of glass. It was a lot of cool, fantasy kind of elements. I thought it was really good.
I have come to believe that Shaggy Joey was a much bigger nerd than Joe. Because of this, like, toss you in the magic mist. But like the line that always sticks out to me is from, I think it's Cartoon Nightmares. It's years from now, but it's when Shaggy says, "'Cause I got +2 speed and I'll stab you with the +2 dagger from the Tomb of Horrors D&D." Like, that's straight up from Shaggy. Like, he definitely was a goober that played D&D. And I say this as a D&D playing goober myself. But, like, Shaggy doesn't... The crazy thing is that Shaggy doesn't get into, like, specific, like, vivid iconography and fantasy, references very often. But when he does, it's clear that he, like, pulls from that because it's a thing that he knows about.
Yeah, he knows about it. I think it's honestly, I think it's from movies. I think it's just the type, maybe that would be my guess, is that's the kind of, he's thinking about that movie imagery, because that's exactly what I think about. I think about, like, Beastmaster, Rip Torn, trying to sacrifice a hot, topless 80s lady while ferrets are jumping down his back.
How do you feel about my assessment that Shaggy's a bigger nerd than Violent J?
Oh, I definitely agree. Okay. He loves this ninja shit. Like the clown stuff, they're both on it, but that's like Violent J's. But the ninjas is Shag's. And I feel like that's ninjas in the cool, like, 80s way, not the, like, 2000s way. What was that website, Bill? About
ninjas really sold out.
Realninjas.com or whatever.
RealUltimatePower.com.
Real Ultimate Power.
That was great for a second, though.
That was when ninjas jumped the shark. It was the moment right before the episode before they jumped the shark.
The big pimpin' MIDI for the
You commit seppuku by eating a frisbee.
Yeah. But yeah, something that doesn't really get explained. You've been granted Jacob's ride. Do we think that that's the same Jacob from Jacob's Word that will show up in years from now?
Yeah. I feel like it's got to be.
Because that doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't mean anything. Like, maybe let's keep an eye peeled for other Jacob references, guys, because maybe this is a secret 17 that nobody's talking about.
Right.
I just thought it was like a misunderstanding of Jacob's ladder and, like, the concept of Jacob's ladder. Not the movie, but just the concept from the Bible,
But maybe that's the whole
So you're
thing.
saying that this ride could be some sort of a Jacob's ladder scenario.
Well, because you get on it and you go and you die.
Oh.
And Jacob's ladder is, well, and biblically, angels were crawling up and down Jacob's ladder to go to heaven and come to earth. But more mystically, it's used as symbolism of, like, going to the other world for humans as you pass away.
Nice. I'm glad you know about the Bible, Steve.
Hence, Jacob walking up the stairs at the end of the movie Jacob's Ladder.
Is it?
And he walks to his son.
And it turned out it was about Eric Clapton the whole time.
Would you know my name?
Too soon? I laughing. So.
Okay, but what I also want to say about this, at the end, there's a little skit where he's like, Violent J's on the phone. I don't know, he's leaving a message. It's a really long, rambling message. But it's one of those, he was listening to it, and he did a callback. He said Murder Go Round. He called back to an earlier track. But he also started name dropping. And it made me think about, I never put it together, that when he's freestyling a lot in later albums, they'll be freestyling, he'll start name dropping. And I was always so impressed at how well he could do that. But then it turns out, like, motherfucker's just been doing it the whole time. And he only has to add one or two names, each time he does it. Yeah. That's all.
What do you think clown riding the bike means? Do you think that that's like ghost riding the whip?
I don't know, but I'm going to be clown riding my bike from now on.
Yeah, I want to get a bike horn that sounds like the horn in Wagon Wagon, but
an amazing.
Right?
Who can make that new horn that sounds like it's broken?
Well, there's got to be some sort of electronic horn where you can program in a sample.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you can.
I mean, I would love it if it was just a big squeeze bulb, of course. But...
Right, that's what you got to have.
I hate the three blind mice thing. I just want to say that. It doesn't even make sense to the song or anything.
Yeah. Well, because there's three of them, Three
were
rappers on
there?
the track.
Well, are there 3 of the people singing the verses, or are there 3 of the victims inside the thing? Because the third verse, capital E, welcomes Mr. Executive.
I think what I can't, I don't remember all of the lines from the chorus, but it's three blind mice, your worst fear. Like I thought they were saying that they're the 3 blind mice, and their job is to kill them.
Okay.
Their worst fear is the 3 blind mice.
Yeah, because honestly, like that's a very brilliant and almost certainly how they did not intend it at all. But like the people who would be immune to a horrifying House of Mirrors would be blind people. So like, how dope would it be if there was like a horror movie or something about like this crazy possessed House of Mirrors, and all the people who like work there and perpetrate the evil are blind because they can't see the mirrors and the evil that's contained within them.
You just made me like that line now.
You're welcome.
Write that movie, Bill, and I will watch it.
All right, let's do it. Well, the last track on the album is Ringmaster's Word, and it's a bad choice to end the album.
I had a purpose. 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 I had a purpose.
It's awkward, especially after everything we've sat through. They would never do this again, because on any other ICP album, this would be the second track right after the intro, because it's just a fucking, instrumental, basically talking about, the Ringmaster. Any other Joker's card, it would be like an actual intro talking about who the Ringmaster is and what he does, then straight into this song and then the rest of the album. And maybe they wrapped up the album this way because they didn't yet hit upon the formula of having like a ballad or a slow mid-tempo song end it, or they didn't leave any like very poignant iconographic song to round it out with, and clearly House of Mirrors isn't strong enough to end an album with, so they just tossed this on at the end.
I'm gonna disagree with you.
Let's do it.
I feel like at this so last week I went on a rant about like what these songs that they're sampling mean or whatever, and the significance there. And then when we got to this track and I looked up this track, it was like the fucking 3 eyes, the fucking pyramid with the eye came up and everything like made sense, This song is the whole song, all the talking, the weird speaking part, or I think he's talking about being a Dracula.
Yeah. He has a purpose.
Right, I have a purpose. That is a sample from a song from the band Gong. And it's a song called The Pothead Pixies. I highly recommend that you do not listen to it. It's just like this, which is god awful. But what I really think is happening here is this is like the imagery is a vampire who's like almost perched over, like he sees his victim and he's even like he's like, let everyone know that I'm coming, like I'm coming to your town and there's nothing that you can do about it. I want you to know that I'm coming. And then he gets there and he's like, let them know that I'm gonna kill them. I'm gonna bite their necks. And he's like perched over their bed, like haunting them before, and it's inevitable. They cannot escape him because his purpose is to be there and kill them. And I feel like that's, and the whole time Violent J's in the background going, Ringmaster, Ringmaster. And I think what he's saying is, I listened to this music, I listened to this character, and I had this idea, and that's where the Ringmaster came from. Was from this imagery, this thing that comes in the night, and that's what turned into the carnival.
Yeah, that's awesome, Steve.
Yeah, I that's how I interpreted it all along. I actually like this song. I used to jam out on this song too, just because it was instrumental and I could put it on playing a game and just be kind of mindless and it would just play. So I mean, I knew it was goofy. I knew it was not a well put together song, but something about it, I just always liked it. I liked the way the stupid beat sounds, and I just thought, like, I didn't know I had this weird assumption that was like Bela Lugosi from an actual movie, and they just like cut it up and put it in there. I kind of didn't think that would be true, but it just made sense to me, or I felt like that's at least what they wanted me to think. And and I was this is going years back. This is what I thought of this song. And but I agree with you. It explains the Dark Carnival. He has a purpose. They're coming. Except he's going to gently bend over, reach over and bite their neck. They're not as gentle. But I just felt like he was explaining the Dark Carnival, like you were saying. So.
Well, thank you guys. I did not listen to this track as closely as I could have, clearly. Thanks for changing my mind on this one.
I mean, I agree that the song sucks, so don't listen to it.
Let me ask you this question.
That's not true. You should listen to the song. It's a good song. I like it.
Let me ask you this question now that we have finished the Ringmaster. Guys, is the Ringmaster a good boss?
I don't really feel we get to know the Ringmaster the way we get to start learning like Malenko and the Jekyll brothers and, you know?
Yeah, because we don't even get to know what the fucking Carnival of Carnage is on the first album.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know Ringmaster that well. We just know that we just know who he is. We got a little bit of that job description.
Which is kind of awesome because we touched on it really briefly on the first episode, but of this podcast, of this album. We touched on it briefly, but like there is a hierarchy in the Dark Carnival, but the Ringmaster is the leader of the Dark Carnival, and I think it's kind of good and cool that we don't really know very much about him. Because you get the sense that ICP doesn't know very much about him, because they're just clowns, and maybe they get to ride up front with him on the wagon sometimes. But I feel like he kind of keeps to himself.
Yeah.
He lifts up off the street into the sky, over the river, down the block,
in the valley,
through the hedges,
up the path. To your very own front door.
Into the foyer.
Up upon the threshold.
Over to the Claire's in the mall. Guys, let us get... Steve, I'm going to start with you. Let us get some final thoughts on the Ringmaster now that we have finished it.
I like the album a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think there may be songs on it that I like better than is going to be on the. Well, I don't know if there's an EP that we're going to do in between this and.
Yeah, there definitely is.
Yeah, there is. Is it
Talk about that? We'll talk about that. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, but so anyways, because I know we keep saying that the better songs are coming, that we like, but I think there are songs on this album that I just like better than will be on the entire next album.
Mm.
So I like this album. It's weak compared to what's coming up. I will definitely say that. But I like that this album really starts to shape the Dark Carnival that we know and starts to character build in a direction that we understand them and know where they're heading. And so I like hearing it and hearing them piece it together. So this is a really enjoyable album for me.
Right.
Yeah, man, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed listening to this because at the time when I first started listening to ICP, it just wasn't as strong, and so I just didn't listen to it as much. And there was so much to listen to that sometimes it was hard to get to listening to Ringmaster. And just couldn't have been more pleasantly surprised at how many of my favorite lines that I forgot were on this. And then just had a real treat of a time listening to it and thinking about, like, digging into the references and samples and thinking about it. Just super, super fun. And I got introduced to a ton of good music, actually, from which makes sense. You know, they're picking songs that are significant to them for one reason or another. So yeah, and it's true that it's not as strong, but it's an integral part experience, and there are really, really solid, really, really fun moments. So yeah, totally enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm very pleased that you looked up the Who Sampled for the last couple episodes and told us about Gong and everything. I was also extremely pleasantly surprised about Ringmaster because again, I listened to this album almost as little as I listened to Carnival of Carnage before we jumped into this one. And when planning out this podcast and when thinking about our journey, in my mind, I was prepared for, boy, Carnival of Carnage is going to be real tough, and Ringmaster is going to have a couple good tracks, but it's going to be almost as bad. But it's so light years ahead of Carnival of Carnage, and it's like a 90% completely enjoyable, fun, awesome album. And there are just so many, like I can't believe that how much it made me appreciate Mr. Johnson's Head and the original version of Chicken Huntin'. And I love Southwest Song. I knew I liked Southwest Song, but now I really love Southwest Song. And the Dead One, Wagon Wagon, and the Loons. There are like some straight up, for me, greatest hits on this album. And I was really, really pleasantly surprised at how huge an evolution they took. And I guess it is like 3 years since the last album, but it's such a quantum leap forward, and so we're now so close to what their final form is, and it's exciting to watch it grow. Next week we will cover the Terror Wheel, which you will be pleased to find, listeners, has both a 7-minute 45-second song on it and a 9-minute 20 seconds.
So get your smoking jacket and your pipe,
and your
your
popcorn,
cozy, warm slippers.
Get the bugs off your nugs and settle in for the Terror Wheel. Thanks to everybody for listening. We're on Twitter and Instagram at Dim Carnival. Again, you can send us all your thoughts at dimcarnival@gmail.com. Thanks to everyone for listening. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Give us them 5 stars. It helps us out a lot if you leave any sort of review. But, a positive one would be awesome. But thanks to everybody for listening. And we're really having a good time here. And I'm excited to listen to the Terror Wheel because I don't know any of these songs on here, and I've never listened to Terror Wheel before. So we'll talk about that next week, everybody. Until next week, I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Ryan.
And we would like to talk to you next.